Arielle.
Put food in my mouth and everything. Sorry in advance. What's going on?
What's going on? I caught you right when you were chewing.
Yep.
How's everything?
It's okay. I usually have a lot to say, and very little goes in my mouth, and a lot comes out of my mouth. So it's like the one time somebody will see me eating.
Yeah.
On YouTube.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is a different experience. You get to
Very different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For people who may not be familiar with you, why don't you just introduce yourself?
So my name's Arielle. I've been making content on YouTube for 15 years now, which is crazy to think about. I've been doing it full time for 10 years. I'm a lesbian, and yes, that is important to note because of the content that I make. Not that I make it my whole personality, because I don't. There's not one rainbow flag in my whole house. You would never know a lesbian lived here. But it's important because a lot of my content at the moment is very damage control-ish for the LGBT community. Because there's a big difference between being LGBT and being queer. And right now the queers have taken over that space. And they're making us look crazy. And it's important to talk about and to critique.
Yeah.
I think you probably feel the same about the Black community, even though that's not a real thing, right?
Yeah.
Everyone assumes that we're all like one monolith, and it's like, no, we're not.
Yes. Tell us what the Black community wants. No, you know what? I actually feel lately, I would say like this past year especially, like I felt really bad for lesbians who were dating, especially. Because they like occasionally they'll show like this is what the dating online profiles look like, and it's dudes in dresses.
Because it's literally exactly what it is. It's literally exactly what it is. Like I could show you like my Hinge, my Bumble, my Tinder profile. Like I could show you that, and 9 out of 10 times, if it looks like a dude, it's a dude.
Yeah.
It's not an actual trans woman. You know, and there are some trans women, of course, that like will go on dating apps and they might not pass, but it's a very different experience dealing with an actual trans person versus a dude in a dress, which is not a trans person, by the way. And the majority of them are coming out of the woodwork. You ever see the meme where it's like Jack Nicholson from The Shining? You saw that meme? It's like lesbians just existing, trans women on dating apps, and it's the scene where he's coming into the bathroom, attacking his wife. It's literally that. It's literally that right now. And people think that I'm the crazy one. How you been single for 6 years? I think 6 years I've been single now. I date around, whatever. But like that's a good part of the reason why. Also because a lot of people are just crazy leftists, and I don't want to. I could date somebody that's maybe on the left, but I don't think they could date me.
Right.
But that's the problem, right? Like I could see how other people have differing opinions or points of view, even though I would think you're an idiot at this point to be a quote on the far left. You know, you'd be an idiot. I mean, at this point, you're just like a communist. But I can understand where they're coming from because I used to think that I was on that side as well, and I realized I wasn't. When I was on that side, all I did was fight with them. So I should have known. Yeah. Yeah, my morals weren't adding up. When you look at my history, it makes sense. A lot of people will call me a grifter and that kind of stuff, but you look at it like I was raised Catholic. I'm Italian. Italians are very traditional. And from New York, we say what we want to say. It's not really grifterish to me. It's who I've always been.
Yeah.
Just decided to speak out about it more.
They call everybody a grifter, though. That's the thing. Like anybody I don't like is a grifter. Are there grifters? Yeah, probably.
Yes.
But it's hard to see in someone's heart whether they're being truthful or not.
Wow.
Sometimes you can see through their actions.
Yeah.
But it's hard to pick apart. Actually, I'm curious because I know a little bit about your history. What was the thing that made you say, "I'm done with the left," or maybe like I'm not a leftist like I thought I was?
Yeah. I spoke about this in previous videos in the past. There was a lot of different things, but the main one was when I was in Vegas visiting a friend of mine, my friend Tara, who's like a moderate, maybe a little bit more on the right, but she also has an OnlyFans. So it's like, is she really on the right? Like, she's just not on the left like me, right? We're in the center somewhere. And we met up in person finally. And she's like, I'm so glad that you're not one of those crazy leftists. You know, you had a rainbow flag in your bio and women empowerment. And I thought you were crazy. And I was like, oh my God, I can't even have women's empowerment or a rainbow flag in my bio because they've both been co-opted. And I was like, that's a big problem. because neither of those things mean women's empowerment used to mean we're powerful, we can do things ourselves, but it didn't mean we hate men. Now it's become we hate men, or we hate everybody that's not a crazy feminist in their own words of what a feminist is.
Right.
And I didn't align with any of that, and that was a big problem for me. So I needed to make a video and be like, maybe I'm not on the right, but I'm certainly not all this bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I decided to make that video. And that was like the one video that I made viral. In the 10 years of work that I had done at the time, that was the video that went viral, which I'm not mad about. But it's a shame that it came to that point.
Mm.
That like a more hateful video was the one that got the most exposure. Yeah, Steven Crowder picked it up. Candace Owens found out about me from it. There was a few more right-wing media people that found out who I was, which wasn't the worst thing. It's a good thing. Like I was on Candace's show a year and a half after that. You know. So, I mean, it wound up, there was only 2 friends that I knew for sure that were going to be my friends after I made this video, and I talk about this. Sydney Watson and Tim Pool. I've known them forever. I've known both of them for a long time. Sydney for like 6-7 years, Tim maybe longer than that, maybe since 2015 or something like that, maybe 8-9 years, before he was like Tim Pool. And I knew that at least I had 2 people that were good people that were going to continue to be in my life, whether or not they agreed with what I was about to say, which they did, but they were friends with me before anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And they helped me write the video, and they helped me, push it out to the world, and it went viral, and they're still friends of mine. And I wound up making better friends, and I wound up losing all the people that I thought were friends, but I wound up being okay. In the end, the truth comes out. It always does.
The truth shall set you free.
It always does. I always say that, and it's true. I didn't know where I was going to be. I really didn't.
Yeah.
No. I lost all of my so-called friends. Every single one of them, pretty much. Except maybe 2 people. My friend Vinny. Shout out to Vinny if he's watching this.
What's up, Vinny?
My friend Vinny, yeah. He's an Italian, so Italians are real people. And I don't know off the top of my head, but maybe 1 or 2 other people that wound up sticking around.
Okay. Yeah, when I never really talked about my politics publicly. Only certain people in my life even knew about my politics.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a Democrat prior.
I think we all were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
you're from Jersey, I'm from New York. Yeah.
It's
Comes with territory.
It's like the default.
Yeah.
Default setting.
Until you actually get into it, and then you're like, hold on. Like half of this shit don't make sense.
Well, actually, that's the thing. I started going on my own exploration as far as, does this make sense?
Right.
And then I started discovering, let's say, like alternate voices and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I started breaking away from the mainstream media.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized like all the information that I was consuming, not that it was bad information, but that was missing, right?
It's a good way of putting it.
So like
it's not the full picture.
It's not the full picture. Like I was always getting the right-wing perspective from the left.
Right.
And obviously they have their biases and they're going to give the worst interpretation.
Right.
But I never listened to the right-wing perspective from the right.
Right.
And to me that sounds more accurate to do, and that was a flaw.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I finally started verbalizing like, yeah, I'm not a Democrat and this is how I feel about these things. Honestly, I had like a small group of progressive / socialist friends.
Socialist friends?
There's one socialist.
Okay.
Who would say I'm a socialist.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I have any friends like that.
And actually what's funny is that he pretended to hang on longer than everybody else did. Because he was one of those people who were like, no, it's fine, And
what race is he?
He's Middle Eastern.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a rarity.
Yeah.
Oh.
All
right.
And
I would have assumed white, but majority then.
Yeah. No, but he was like, no, it's cool, man, it's cool. Let's have lunch. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, and so we would meet up, and it just felt like he just wanted to talk about politics. Like that's it.
He was trying to convince you.
And he wanted to convince me how about the Palestinian conflict. And personally, I was just like,
I don't know enough about that.
I don't know enough about it. That's not my thing, man.
No, it's not my thing. Not everybody has to be knowledgeable.
Whether I agree with you or not, it changes nothing. Like, why are you putting this much energy into it? But the thing that made me like step away and
Oh, you stepped away from him.
yeah, I just didn't reach out to him anymore,
Okay.
and he also didn't reach out to me anymore.
Okay, so it's mutual.
But it felt like it was fake. It felt like what he was trying to do was
Relate so he can control.
not necessarily control, but like backhand. Leave me backhand statements, bad faith statements, unprovoked statements.
Like what?
Like he would say stuff, and it might sound small, but he would say stuff.
Microaggression.
Your boy Tucker. Now, mind you, I never talked about Tucker Carlson with him.
I also never met him. I don't know.
He doesn't know if I watch him or I don't know. And I was like, my boy Tucker. Like, why would you imply that I like Tucker, that I watch Tucker?
Right.
Why would you do that? You know, and it was just more and more like bad faith things that someone else would say, not me. Someone else would say that he would imply that I agree with.
With everything everyone on the right says, type of thing, right?
And I'm just...
which is the very black and white thinking of the left.
Yeah.
Which is funny because they claim to be so diverse, every color of the rainbow. But they're not. They're very black and white.
And to be fair, everybody kind of does it. Like
I do it sometimes too, and I catch myself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like there are Democrats that don't want to trans your kids.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Right? But, you know, I know there are people on the right who's like, the Democrats, all of them, agree with this. I'm like, no, there's tons of them that don't.
Most of them don't.
You just don't hear them.
Yeah, the very progressive ones will talk about it. And the ones that are more vocal are going to be the ones that are being shown, of course, especially by right-wing media, right? Because they want to make sure, like, these are the crazy people.
Right.
Like, yeah, and they are. Let's be clear, they are. But that's not everybody. The more moderate Democrats are ones that I would be able to date. You know?
Right.
Those crazy progressives with the nose rings and the septum piercings and the hair and everyone's a communist and
it's a uniform.
I couldn't date somebody like that not because of their beliefs, but because their lack of ability to see other people's opinions.
Or a better way of saying it, I guess, is they're illiberal.
They're not liberal at all.
Yeah.
They're not liberal. And they call themselves liberal, which is crazy. And they are the opposite of liberal.
Right.
They don't want freedom of speech like your shirt says. They don't want differing opinions. Not 20 years ago, where is it? When was the Holocaust? 1940 something.
Yeah.
So 60, 70 years ago, whatever it is, I can't do the math. Back then, there was a lot of people that really believed in what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
You always have to have a counter argument to any. I don't care if you're 100% correct, right? There always needs to be a counter argument.
Right.
Just because, for the simple fact that we're always going to learn. We're always learning something. And we need that. I won't say polarization, but we need the opposition to what we're thinking to help us grow. At least to make us rethink our arguments and be like, maybe they do have a point. Well, maybe not. You know.
Yeah.
But that's important.
I've been saying that the left isn't wrong about everything.
No.
Sometimes they're actually right on the problem.
The approach.
They're wrong in the prescription.
Yes, I agree.
You know, it's just
Yep, I agree with you.
This person's sick. Let's shoot it in the head. Like, you know, that's not how we fix this problem.
Right.
But at the same time, some of those things with their like is a legit problem because they're saying it's a problem. The right reflexively says, no, it can't be a problem. No, it's definitely not a problem.
Right.
And it's like, not like...
That's why there's no...
Hear them out.
There needs to be more nuance, which is why I appreciate your channel and what you do. And I think people appreciate what I do because we are more in the middle. And I think most people, and I didn't know that, right? Mm-hmm. At the time when I came out as leaving the left, I'm not on the right. I'm just in my own space. And you want to tell me I'm on the right. I say I lean right on certain issues.
Right.
Because the majority of people on the right agree with me on certain things, or I agree with them. But there needs to be way more nuance in this space. There needs to be way more conversations being had. You can't even talk to people on the far left. At least on the far right, you can talk to them. Even if they disagree with you and they think you're crazy, they'll at least sit down and have a conversation with you, you know? And more of a higher vibration, in my opinion.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Like, I was actually talking to someone about this recently. Like, I don't know if I've ever publicly called myself a Black conservative.
I don't see you that way.
But
I see you like me.
People say it all the time.
Yeah.
I don't correct them. Like, you call me whatever you want.
Right.
But I don't know if I am a Black conservative. I think I'm a moderate.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this, like, and I say this as someone who's a Christian, I don't care if gay people get married. Live your life.
Yeah. That's a classic liberal stance, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's very New York, New Jersey of you. I don't give a fuck.
It's not
Gay people move into my neighborhood, they make the neighborhood worth more money. That's actually true, you know that?
Yeah. I
So that's my property value. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like especially from a faith perspective, you know, if I'm to say from a faith perspective, how you live your life, I'm not the one that's going to judge you. God's going to judge you. So if you're living your life wrong, whatever that wrong might be, then then that's your thing with God. But like, you're a human being, and God also says I'm supposed to love you and treat you like my sister.
Right.
So I'm going to treat you like my sister. And if you want to get married, then go and get married, right? Especially like, marriage is really a state thing, unless you want to make it a religious thing, right? But not everybody wants to do that. A lot of people just want to get married. So, the person that you've been with, if they get sick, you have someone there. Or maybe if you pass away, your life insurance can help to take care of the person that's been with you. Like, to me, that makes sense.
Yeah.
From a state perspective. If a church doesn't want to do it because they say it violates it, then that's a whole other thing. But from a legal standpoint, if you want to be married, so be it. Get married. I don't care. Live your life. And
I'm not one of those gay people that's like, bake the cake, bake it.
Yeah.
make me have the holy matrimony in your church. Like, I don't care. If you don't want me in your church, I'll go somewhere else.
Right.
Bye.
Right.
Bye. And that's okay. I'm not going to force you. If somebody was trying to force me to bake a cake with the N-word on it, I would say no.
Right.
And I should be illegally, that's not something I agree with. Like, I should legally be allowed to, to say no to things like that.
Speaking of which, I didn't know until maybe like a year or so ago that they're targeting that guy constantly.
Really?
Yeah.
That guy?
Yeah, the cake guy out in Colorado, I believe.
Really, Colorado?
And he's just some guy. And as a matter of fact, he was like, I'm sorry, like, that's against my beliefs, but I can make you another cake.
Right.
And that's not what they wanted. They were targeting.
I'm going to force you to believe what I believe.
Right.
No.
It's like,
it's not right.
It's not right.
Mm-mm.
It reminds me of the people who, oh man, I don't know if you know about this. So, especially like in places like California, which have like really strict coding violations. So there are law offices that will hire disabled people. So like what they'll do is they'll look at it like a convenience store, let's just say, for example.
Okay.
And that convenience store, let's say it doesn't have
a ramp or something?
It has a ramp, but it's not the exact ramp that needs to be there. So it's not part of the code. So they'll hire a disabled person to go to the location and attempt to go up it, and then use that person to sue the place.
Really?
Yes. Use that person to sue the place and get money out of them.
And this is a cop?
No. This is a law office. So
a law office?
Law offices hire disabled people
shit.
to find these places, and then they go. So what happens is like the same guy will have.
I'm not gonna lie, kind of smart.
That's fucked up. It's messy. But you'll see like the one guy had like 12 lawsuits.
The same guy?
Same guy.
Oh no, man, that guy's making out bank.
Oh man, so
I'd like to see what the split is.
I want to actually.
How much money they giving the guy?
That's a good question. What the split is?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what it kind of reminds me of. They found this guy, and they said,
we know he's not gonna.
We're gonna keep targeting. Send another gay couple out there, right? Let's do another lawsuit.
Right.
excuse me, can you make a cake of a penis hat? Like, no, I'm sorry, I can't
No,
do
I don't
that.
want to do it.
Bigot, another lawsuit. Like,
Right.
so yeah, I feel bad for the guy actually
I didn't
because
know
of
that. He's in Colorado. Maybe when I go to Colorado, that's one of the states I haven't been to. Maybe I'll go visit him
Yeah.
and be like, I swear, not all gay people are like this. It's like he needs to know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's wild how people just want you to conform to their to the beliefs. Like,
But that says a lot more about them than it does about you, right?
yeah,
That says a lot more about them. Like that their beliefs aren't good enough or valid enough until other people believe it. I don't need other people to believe what I believe.
Yeah.
No, because I think I've been through shit. Not that you have to go through shit, but I've been through shit. I came out clean on the other side. That's what the tattoo's about. And I'm at a place in my life where I feel very at peace. And I know that I'm good at helping bring that sort of peace to other people. And I feel like at the very least, that should be worth a lot. And if other people aren't doing it in that way, they might find another way of doing it, which is fine, but they need to, what's the way I'm looking for? I don't know, I lost my train of thought. Cut that out.
It's all good. No, I was gonna.
There's a lot.
I was gonna fill in and say like, you're onto something. These are people who aren't at peace. They're angry. They're frustrated.
They don't know who they are.
They don't know who they are.
They have no purpose. They have no community. Ben Shapiro talks about this. You can be not religious like me. I'm very spiritual, not religious, but you could be all these people that are far leftist, not one of them is religious. Not one. Not one of them is spiritual. And it's not about the religion or the spirituality. It's about the fact that they need something to be a part of, and there's nothing there, right? So then they find a new religion, which is wokeism. And that is the religion of the left.
Yeah. I do have a theory. I think a lot of people who reject religion are like in two folds. One, they were hurt by somebody who was religious. Like I watch all types of content on YouTube, and it says a lot when you focus on someone and how they talk about something rather than what they're saying. So like,
a lot of them sound like they're in pain.
Right. They talk. They not only just pain, but they have anger towards Christianity, for example, and it's like someone did something to them. I don't know who did. I don't know if they had a really strict parent who was a Christian and claiming that the reason why you can't do this is because of the Christianity, and so now they have this built up resentment. So even if you show up in loving arms and saying, I'm not a Christian who's trying to hurt you, it's like blinders.
They don't see anything.
And they don't see it. They only see the person that hurt them.
Yep.
And I think that that's such a shame.
It is.
Now the other group that exists, that the ones that weren't hurt, I think there are people who just don't like it that there's someone else dictating the rules.
That's a narcissistic personality disorder they have in themselves.
But
spot on.
The crazy thing is, from that perspective, their rules often line up with the Christian faith. They just don't. They just want to pretend that, no, I created these things.
No, you didn't.
Right? I do what's moral. So what is moral?
Right.
Right? And then they explain what moral is, and like, that's exactly what Jesus wants.
That's exactly.
You know,
literally, do unto others how you would want them to do unto you.
Right.
Don't cheat. Don't lie. Don't steal. Respect people.
Right.
Jesus was for all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I understand from their perspective as well. I don't think it's correct, but I understand because when I was growing up in the 90s in New York, I felt very not at unease. I felt very uncomfortable in church because I knew I was gay. I wasn't out at the time. But more importantly, even just the dress code didn't like fit me.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that as soon as I like veered just a little bit astray, I would be judged. And the whole point of it is to not be judged, right?
Yeah.
And I did see a lot of, like, the only time I've ever been bullied was by people in Catholic school. So there is, at least back then, there was a lot of shit going on. Maybe now not so much. I don't know. I haven't been to church in that way in a long time.
Right.
I have my spirituality in other ways. So I can understand that perspective, but I think kids that are growing up today do not experience what you and I did back then. We did. They're just not. It's changed a lot in the last 20 years.
It's definitely changed a lot.
And they're still making themselves out to be like these tremendous victims, which is just not like. I was in the middle of nowhere in South Dakota, and there's a gay flag at the church. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that way anymore.
Right. Yeah. Actually, I have a question. So, anybody who's like watching multiple episodes, I feel like I've probably talked about this a few times now. Are you familiar with NDEs, near-death experiences?
Yes.
Okay.
I know what it is. In fact, the book that I'm reading right now is exactly about that.
What's the name of the book?
Journey of Souls.
Okay. I was like, that would be freaky as fuck if we're reading the same book.
What's the name of it?
I actually have the audiobook, actually.
I have the audiobook too.
Yeah.
I was listening to it on the way here. On the way back home from North Dakota and South Dakota.
It's by this guy named John Burke. Imagine who God is, or something like that.
Okay.
But he talks about it from, he has over, I think it was
Did you have patience?
70 stories or something like that.
Similar
from,
book.
That he interviewed from all over the world.
Similar book.
Yeah.
The guy that I'm reading, is a psychologist, and he does hypnotherapy on people
Mm-hmm.
and it puts them in a state of full consciousness or whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
and they're able to like access their past lives and stuff. And you wouldn't think it was true until people come up with these facts that no one's ever heard of, and then you look them up and you're like, holy shit, that like actually happened to somebody, and no one would have known. One kid even found his dead body that was his in his past life. Like, it's wild shit. You're like, but the body was never found, but the kid in a new life remembered where he was buried. It's weird.
Oh.
Yeah, it's weird. Oh shit. So similar book though, yeah.
Yeah. These are stories of people who had near-death experiences from accidents, from on the surgery table, all types of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it is absolutely fascinating.
They all see the same thing.
Similar things. So that's
Similar.
That's the thing that to me gives it more authenticity.
Yeah.
It's not that everybody has the same exact experience,
Well, nobody ever does.
but there are overlaps in things. Like,
Right.
so like the God of Light,
Yeah.
right? So almost all of them say that they've seen and felt the God of Light.
Mm-hmm. Peace, love.
Like peace and compassion and all
All
these
of
different
it.
things. Yeah. I'll tell you a couple crazy stories from the book that you were talking about. One of them was a woman who had a near-death experience, and a percentage of people see past family members.
Right.
So she sees a man. She doesn't know who this man is. And she comes back years later. Her mother is on her deathbed. And her mother says, I have something to tell you.
Oh, shit.
I had an affair with
Okay.
another man.
And that's your father. That's your real father.
And that's your father. And so she showed her the picture, and that man that she saw was the man in that picture.
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
And how do you explain that?
Right.
Another
Well,
one.
also, like when my grandma was sick, she passed away. What was it? 2012. Maybe a week or two before she passed, she was talking to people that weren't there, but they probably were. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you started being more in tune with the other side.
You're close.
Oh yeah, because you're right there, and you're like, and I think part of it is they're probably coming to get you as well, like make the transition period easier. I think that's probably part of it.
Yeah.
Probably.
Some people report angels coming to guide them to the light.
Uh-huh.
Some people report their family members coming to guide them to the light.
Well, who says they're not one and the same?
But another crazy story was this woman who is blind. She was blind from birth.
Okay.
and she had an experience that like, she collapsed or something like in the bathroom in the house. While she was collapsed, she was floating above her body, and she could see her body. She could see her mother over her body, and I think somebody else was there. So when she saw her grandmother. Now, she's blind. She doesn't know what her grandmother looks like. But when she saw her grandmother, she knew that was her grandmother.
Right, energetically.
Energetically. Like, everybody always expresses, like, communicating telepathically.
Right, that's what they say.
Yeah. So when she got back, she said, I saw you over my body. You were wearing this color robe. She's like, I was wearing that color robe. And I saw grandma. She looked like this. And she described it to a T. She's like, how do you explain that?
Right.
You know, just all types of stuff. Floating above the body, on the surgery table, and you see that there's a red sticker above the lamp in the operating room. How else would you have known that?
Now if you're blind, but
you know, so
I love shit like this. I could talk about. I mean, the book I'm listening to, it's like 13 hours long. It's a long book. It's good.
But like stuff like this, I think it makes me feel more comfortable.
In your beliefs.
Yeah. And it helps to center me as far as what is all this for? Like, what's the purpose?
I ask myself that every single day.
Yeah. But I know the answer. And I intuitively, when I started listening to that voice inside, I know what the answer is.
What do you think the answer is?
This. What we're doing now. Something positive, connecting with people, encouraging other people to connect. And while we might be talking about the problems and stuff like that, we're sitting here, we're breaking bread, we're communicating. We're doing something that is generally positive. And that's why, like, I mean, you follow me on Twitter. That's why I do the things I do on Twitter. I try to have fun, try to make light of difficult things. And I stay away from the drama because at the end of the day, that's not a...
it's not a higher frequency.
It's not, there's no purpose in that, right? Matter of fact, I'm gonna go as far as saying Twitter is demonic. And the reason I say Twitter is demonic, and I've kind of learned, and it makes sense to me, anything that separates people is demonic, right? Because the whole point of us is for us to connect with each other. But when you have something that, like, you know, it just like that, it can go negative. And that's what it wants. Like, it trends negative, and you can get sucked in 2 seconds. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think this is a demonic thing that we're utilizing. However, it is a vehicle, and you can drive it however which way you want.
I was gonna say, you can't. It's like blaming guns. You can't blame not the messenger. You can't blame the messaging system. Right. You have to blame the people that are using it.
Right.
And I would push back on that just a little tiny bit and say,
go for it.
No, there's nothing wrong with what you said. But I got a little defensive because I know some of the things that I post, like I'm making fun of people and stuff like that. Like, I get it, and I know that's like low vibrational energy. But at the same time, am I really making fun of those people, or am I making fun of those people's egos?
Yeah.
I feel like all these thousands of genders and all these identities are not who these people actually are. So for me, just so you know, I'm pushing back against that, and not who these people. I actually feel bad for these people most of the time. I really do. But I also know that we have to make money, right? And not that I'm condoning bad behavior for money, but I try to think about it in a sense like you're dipping broccoli in chocolate. Like, there's a good message in there, but you got to make it silly and enjoyable for people to understand it and actually want to experience the message that they're getting. That's how I feel.
And there's nothing, so I completely agree with that. You're mocking the behavior. You're mocking the statement. You're not mocking the person, right?
That's not who they are.
You're not saying this person's garbage.
No, never. I've never said that.
Right.
I'll say that's a terrible take.
Right.
That's a terrible idea.
It's a bad idea. And that's kind of how I see it. Like, I criticize the idea, the behavior, but I don't criticize, because we just talked about how we changed.
Right.
Right? So
maybe they'll change.
Maybe they'll change.
Or maybe we'll go back. We don't know. Probably not.
Yeah. You know what? I am feeling like
I'm feeling
the system is oppressive.
I'm feeling a little bit. I feel like a little misogyny coming from Trump these days.
Yes. He's like, I can't believe Adam is mansplaining to
Right.
me.
Oh, I thought that would have been better. If I said that, yeah.
But yeah, I'm right there with you. I love humor. Actually, I kind of like dark humor too. I like offensive stuff, like Chrissy Marish.
She's fucking funny.
Yeah.
She's funny.
And I'm very critical when it comes to comedians, but I've seen her in person over a period of like a year and a half, and I've told her, I was like, you've gotten better.
Yeah.
You know,
Good.
she was funny, but like she's like on it.
Witty now. Like
Yeah,
witty.
she's really on it. And I like that, especially like it that she invites me out and I see her progression. But like,
she's in New York, right? Isn't she in New York?
Yeah, I think she's like.
I gotta
north of
message
the
her. Maybe
city.
I'll see one of her shows this year.
Yeah,
When I
yeah.
go back.
She's always either New York or New Jersey,
Yeah.
which benefits me because I'm in New Jersey.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think humor is good. I think
That's the dip with broccoli and chocolate.
right because you know what
It's
it
more
is.
digestible, pun intended.
Yeah,
It makes the messages digestible for the, I was gonna say faint of heart, but that's not true. It's more of the ego-driven people.
that's what it comes down to. Everybody takes himself too seriously. Like if someone has a good joke about me, I'd be like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, same.
Like that's messed up. That's funny though. And like that's because like I can laugh at myself. I don't take myself too seriously. Like I've been having a ball the past couple of days.
Yeah. With all the work you've been doing, you mean?
No, with the Kathy Hochul saying that the black kids can't use a computer in the Bronx.
It's fucked up. But there's so much to say about it.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much like funny shit that you can say about it.
You know, I just did a radio spot, and they're like, you know, so Adam, you know, thanks for coming on. I just want to make sure, like, you've been able to get a license and everything, right? I was like, yep, my white handlers, they helped me out.
They helped me. They dragged me out by the chains.
Right, that's right.
they guided me like I was like guide dog. They were my guide dog rather, and they guided me to the station.
That's right.
Come on, nobody wants to go to the DMV, but everybody knows where it is.
That's right. Listen, wouldn't you have white handlers if you didn't have to go to the DMV? Like, come on, that's a no-brainer.
Well, I'm lucky. I know someone that works there, so I just like message him. I'm like, I'm not shit done. Like, quick, yeah. 20 minutes.
Do you think that? Because I know you bounce back and forth between New York and Florida. Do you think that New York is getting more progressive or becoming more conservative?
Both.
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 That actually makes sense.
Yeah,
because
it depends on the
it's
area.
becoming more of the extremes.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I think the people that were moderates are being pushed further to the right, and the people that are leftists are just going to go further and further that way because that's what they think is the actual right thing to do. Like if you actually speak to them, they really have so much passion. Some of them are just crazy.
Yeah.
Some of them are just crazy. A lot of them are mentally ill, but like the ones that aren't in those two categories genuinely do think that they're doing the right thing, and because they think that, they have a lot of passion, and that's only going to make them go further to the left. So you'll see that in like Williamsburg, downtown Brooklyn, the city, the village, whatever. You go to like, you know, South Brooklyn, Coney Island, stuff like that. Even the black people there, they're like, what the fuck is this gender shit? Like, why are these? Like, I went to Pride last year, New York Pride, and I interviewed a bunch of people. Most of them were black. It just happened that way because they were more open to talking on camera, I guess. And every single one of those dark-skinned, I can't say dark-skinned because some of them were light-skinned, but let me say that again. Every single one of those people that were clearly not white, because some of them were like Puerto Rican or whatever, I don't know, Dominican or something, were based. One of the girls we asked, do you think it's safe to bring kids to Pride? She's like, 20 years ago, yeah. She's like, not now. And I was like, you're right. You know, and even one of the girls, I was talking about something about being fat and I can't remember what it was, something about being fat and trans or something like that. And the girl goes, damn, you gotta pick a struggle. Fucking having me die in this year. But every single one of those people, even the black gay guys that I interviewed, they were like, how are they gonna redefine the word lesbian? How are they gonna redefine the word woman? We came from women. We love women. Like gay men know better than anybody else. They look up to women. Every single gay man that you know. You have any gay friends?
A couple.
Okay, I guarantee you they stand a specific woman celebrity because they all have one. In our generation, it was like Britney, Madonna. Now it's like Miley, Beyonce. They all have like Rob Smith. I think Rob, was it Rob? Who was that? No, my friend Richie, my hairdresser, loves Mariah Carey. Obsessed with Mariah Carey. Everybody has that one. I don't know what it is. I'm assuming that it's because they're in their feminine energy and they're confident, and gay men appreciate that.
Right.
So that guy was like not having it. He's like, how are they going to redefine the word lesbian to be non-men loving non-men? He's like, that's disrespectful to you. And I was like, I know. I was like, would you like to be called non-white? He's like, hell no. I'm like, exactly. I'm not a non-man.
Right.
I'm a woman.
The non-man.
They were base as fuck. And it's and then I get to the group of white kids, right, with blue hair, and they don't even know how to define what gender is.
Right.
They have no idea, but they're marching for it. That's not activism.
Yeah.
That's just you just following the crowd. You're not a leader. Activists are leaders. Even if I disagree with what you're trying to lead the country towards, I can still see if you're a leader or a follower pretty quickly.
Yeah, I agree with you on the both. Because the more I think about it, it's like years ago, if you told me that the socialists of America is like really big in New York City, I'd be like, really?
I know, that's where we come to make money, right? That's where everyone goes to make it big. The American dream. Go to New York come from Europe. All the immigrants, where'd they go?
Right.
They went to the city. They went to the city to make money and provide for their family back in their home countries.
No, but
the mafia did it. Everybody did it.
The DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. Screw the D. The Socialists of America. That's really what they are.
Yeah.
The Socialists of America are all up in New York City doing all types of wild and crazy shit. And it's like I guess no one saw this coming, but they're not brazen. Maybe they've always been there, but now they feel like
my friend was just telling me yesterday that her husband is back in New York for a few weeks working on the house over there. They have a house there too. We both go back and forth. And she's like, he told me that downtown Brooklyn looks like a third world country. She's like, it's really bad. Like everyone is like tent city. It looks like downtown LA. Bad.
Yeah.
Bad. And these are all the Columbia University students that are actually privileged, calling for all these immigrants to come over that have no money, and now the city is out of funding. And I have people like my friend Jasmine, who's telling me, my daughter's school has no more funding. And I'm like, I fucking told you.
Yeah. I
told you. I said, you have to wake up because democratic policies are not for poor people anymore. This is going right to the immigrants. They don't care about you and your kid, that you don't have any money and no funding for your schools. They don't care. It's not about poor versus rich. It's about anti-America versus pro-people that live in this country, in my opinion.
I've been going back and forth on not necessarily who to vote for, but to vote, because Joe Biden's not getting my vote. So we can cross that name off the list. But Trump became the nominee, and I didn't vote the previous election mainly because I was moving. I moved from states, and during COVID, and I couldn't get a license, so I just wasn't able to vote. But if I could, I would have voted for Trump at that election. This time around, I was like, I don't know. Because I wasn't hearing. I literally saw Trump speak at the Moms for Liberty conference. He's like right here. So I'm like, sell me, Trump. And he didn't sell me.
What was he saying?
Just the normal
gibberish.
Yeah.
All right. He was just feeding the audience what they already wanted, kind of thing. All right. Well,
he's going off the.
I can understand that, because the majority of people that are that are actually going to take the time to go to his meetups he already sold them. You would probably. I'm playing devil's advocate, but that's probably what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to sell those people, so he's just making them have fun, I guess.
I guess.
Excited. Yeah. He's riling them up.
Yeah, it was just, the Democrats are coming after me, and then he, has some zingers, which are kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know, maybe I'm foolish, but I don't know. If you're running for president, what are your policies? Just trust me, everything's going to be great. It's not a policy.
Right.
So that was one of the things that really, I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to vote. But as time has gone on, I'm just like, you can't get everything that you want. And then on top of that, I think that Trump is the only one who is serious about this immigration thing. Like, I think the immigration issue, one, is no longer just Texas's problem or the border state. It's everyone's problem now, right? Which is a good and bad thing because now people are taking it seriously. Because before,
now it's in their backyard.
Now it's in their backyard, not in my backyard. Now it's like, oh yeah, well,
yeah.
Oh my god. Sort of side note. I was watching this one video. A guy in New York. There's this one like citizen journalist kind of guy, and he's just interviewing people about the migrants. He made it to this like lefty-ish, hippie-ish white dude, and he's like, you can see the not confusion, but the conflict in his head,
right?
Because he wants to acknowledge like this shit ain't good,
right.
But we really should help them.
right.
But he's just like struggling. He's going back and forth. I thought that was hilarious because he's like, but I'm a lefty though. I should want it. Like, no, man, just say it.
Right.
This ain't working. It ain't working. It's not right. But Trump, to me, it seems like the only person who is willing to do something about this, to secure our borders, to say, F this, you can't just stream in here, is Trump. And so maybe I gotta say, there are things that I do not like about Trump.
Same.
And I just gotta be like, if this is my number one issue, he's the only one who is serious about it. Now Biden's trying to be like, oh, maybe it isn't good.
He's going back and forth and backpedaling on shit.
Right, he's backpedaling now. Why? Because all these Democrat mayors are coming to DC and saying,
what are we going to do?
What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And then they just stick people into the poor neighborhoods and say, sorry, you get no school now.
That's what I said. They're all downtown Brooklyn's actually expensive. But if they come, those are the areas where they tend to migrate towards. Probably because there's it's most stuff to do. It's a lot. I don't know. You can take that section out. I don't know why they tend to migrate towards that area.
My friend Isaiah Carter keeps talking about how, because I forget where in Brooklyn he's at right now. It's not necessarily important, but what was important, he was like, they're making their way here. Like, because he's always all around the city. And it's almost like
they're hanging out in the parks. My friend said that they have like 15 different little mini stores where they're all selling the same shit. And she's like, how many of the same shit are we gonna buy? Like, even if we wanted to buy it, and they're there illegally. Meanwhile, the guys that actually come here legally, the hot dog vendors and shit, they pay $30,000 a year for that little space outside the Met or whatever it is, $100,000 a year. Those people are doing it legally. The people that are just coming to this country aren't.
Right.
But those guys, those Indian dudes, or whatever you want to call them, I don't know what they are. Not Indians. Saudi Arabian guys, Middle Eastern, who knows what they are. They've been doing this for years legally. They pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for that spot because legally you have to pay for the spot. It's on the city sidewalk.
Right.
You have to pay for it. Just like the people in the subway, they have those little carts. That's illegal. They do it anyway. Technically, you're supposed to pay for your space.
But that's the what they call it, like the broken windows policy, right? When you start enforcing the small stuff, right? And that's what changes things. Everybody thinks, oh, as long as you arrest the murderers and just leave everything else.
No.
No, you have to enforce all these things.
Yeah.
Because what it does is it slowly demoralizes everyone.
Right.
Because if you don't enforce the small stuff, which you easily could, then
everyone else is going to do illegal shit, and then it just keeps getting worse. If they're getting away with it, I'm going to do it too. I don't need to pay my $100,000 a year.
Why not? Shoot.
Yeah.
And the other thing is squatters.
Oh, that's bad too. It's getting bad, from what I've heard. I don't think any in New York, but I could be wrong. Is it? I haven't been back in a few months, so I wouldn't know. But
it's happening in New York.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember the numbers. I was hearing the number of vacant homes, which may be like temporary. You're going on vacation or you have a summer house and stuff like that. The number of vacant homes and the percentage of squatters occupying homes, the percentage was ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah, I almost want to say, and I might be wrong, but I almost want to say it's like 20%. So it's like
That's a lot.
like millions of homes, and 20% squatters are active.
And they all illegals, or a lot of them aren't.
I think it's mixed.
Just curious.
I think it's mixed.
Probably mixed. Yeah.
I think most of them are probably drug addicts.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Some of them are drug addicts. Some of them are just people who just game the system.
Right.
And I'm like, to me, this seems so wild because it's so fixable.
Mm-hmm.
It's so fixable. That's why DeSantis was one of the first politicians to really talk about, like, that's not happening in Florida. We ain't doing. I was like, DeSantis, he's like, nope, we come there, you're out. We don't play any of these games. Out in Oregon, it is a mess. It is a mess.
I don't understand how. I really don't understand how they're letting any of this happen.
It's almost like you don't own your home.
Which is communism, by the way.
That's why Portland and Oregon and how they're structured.
Yeah.
But that's almost how they're kind of lining it up.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, well, what does ownership really even mean?
What does it really mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. But
welcome to what communism is. You're getting a taste of it, just like you got a taste of it when you weren't able to leave your home, even if it's not your home, as they're saying. You know, you can't even leave it.
Right.
Because somebody will move in and squat, or you can't go outside because of COVID and shit.
Yeah.
Different types of control everywhere.
All types of control. It's just the illegal immigration thing. And the squatters thing blows my mind, because it's just like, and I feel so bad when the people who are victims of squatters, because there's basically no justice. So they go through this entire process, and at the end, finally the judge is like, yeah, you can evict this person. Mm-hmm. So then they finally go to evict. Sometimes they're already gone, right? Because they know now, right? Right. So they're gone, and they go in there. And there's $100,000 worth of damage.
Right.
And it may have just been a house that they were about to put on the market. Right. And now they have to fix all of this to try and sell. It's just like, and these are just regular people. Right. Or maybe they're a landlord and this is like some side income for their property. Mm-hmm. Nope. Now they got to spend all this money to try and fix it. Sometimes they burn the house down. Like, it's just,
holy shit.
It's so wild, and no one gets arrested. That's the part for me. It's like, all right, they just leave. And there are so many cases where they leave, and then come to find out they're squatting in another house, like, down the block.
Down the block.
Just like...
I mean, if I was a drug addict, I'd do the same thing, but I can't blame them. You have to blame the government.
It's like they're human roaches. Like, just infecting one house to another house. Yeah. And I was like, how are they able to get away with this? And it's so wild to me. I will never understand how it's just not fixed. All right, there's a loophole. Fix the fucking loophole. Like, this doesn't seem that complicated to me. And I'm actually glad that DeSantis is like at least taking the lead.
I love him. Yeah, he's a good governor. Yeah, he's a really good governor. I mean, you walk around here now. You feel safe. Yeah. In Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say this: Florida sketchy is different
than New York or New Jersey sketchy. Yeah. That's true. It's more like white trash sketchy down here.
Yeah, it's you know what it's like in the Northeast. If you're in a bad neighborhood, like it looks like shit, and then you're in a nice neighborhood, it looks really nice. So it's a clear difference.
It's clear visually. I see what you're saying.
But like driving around here, I'll be like, something seems off. So it's like there's a lot of day workers. Like it's like why are those guys hanging out over there? Like it just something about it seems a little bit off.
Yeah, it's not as obvious.
It's not as obvious.
Yeah, that's true.
But it is sketchy. But it's just not so obvious. Like I went to a Walgreens and they had the like this police thing there that says this place is being monitored by the police 24 hours a day. And I thought to myself, that would only happen it would only happen in a bad neighborhood. In the hood. And I was like, but am I in the hood? Like it just seems. And then I see a crackhead couple. And then I'm like, okay. Yeah. So yeah, Florida sketchy is kind of it's different. But it's kind
different.
Of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, but
What else do you want to talk about? I don't even know how long we've been rolling.
Almost an hour.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know how long your episodes are, but we talk about a lot.
Well, we go to 3 hours, so.
3 hours?
No, I'm
That's a lot of editing for you. I'm like, shit. You want to go that way?
No, that's for
That's
sure.
a lot. Yeah.
Actually, no, we're nearing the end.
Yeah, I figured.
I usually ask, my final question is, are you optimistic about the future?
I will say yes,
Okay.
because the people that need to be speaking out are people like me and you, people that are not brainwashed anymore or never were, and the people that are easily manipulated need people like you and I don't mean it in an ego way, but they really do. They need people like you and I to help them out of that state, pun intended in this case. And I think there's more and more, because of people like you and I, more and more people are speaking out, and then they're going to become leaders. So I think the tides are changing, and I think for the most part, people that aren't on either side are just getting sick of all the bullshit, and they're just over it. Honestly, at least maybe that's just in my little corner of the internet, but it seems that the majority of people are sick of the leftist bullshit.
Yeah. I think so too.
And they were never for the right bullshit. Like the far right, they were never for that anyway. So they think, oh, maybe I'm over here, but then they realize, oh, no, they're crazy too. And then they go back in the middle, and then they wind up where you and I are.
Right.
And that's the majority of people.
Yeah. The politically homeless.
Massive community.
Yeah. That's a good homeless, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because then you're not being controlled, and you're not
Well,
overly biased.
Exactly. I feel this way on this topic. I feel this way on another topic. Like I get shit from the right when I when I stand up for actual transsexual people and say, like, some people actually do have this disorder or just mental illness, whatever you want to call it, called gender dysphoria. I get shit from the more libertarian feminists, whatever you want to call it, or the more radical feminists, I guess. Saying that every single trans woman, is a perpetrator. It's like, no, it's like some of them just want to live their life, because the trans issue is a big issue right now, right? It's because of women's spaces. In my channel, it's not about trans women, but it's about women. A lot of it's about womanhood. And if you're changing the definition of the word woman, I have a lot to say about that. I'm talking like Trump, right? But I just like the way this feels.
You have all the women.
Yeah,
so many women.
So many women. I wish.
Oh, man.
Are you optimistic?
I'm painfully optimistic.
Yeah. I think it's starting to shift over.
I think so too, and actually, much for the same reasons. Like, I'm an IT guy who stumbled into all this stuff.
Yeah.
So if I can do it, other people can do it. But I do think it's important to have people who aren't so partisan that are part of the equation, because a lot of the people who are very partisan, like you automatically know where they're going to be at, and they're going to ride or die with whoever and whatever. I don't think they serve anything. I don't think they serve most Americans. They serve themselves often. And so I express how I feel, and sometimes you're going to agree with it, sometimes you don't. But guess what? That's most Americans.
Right.
And so I think myself and yourself, we represent typical Americans who have mixed viewpoints on all types of stuff. And we're not always going to be fully represented on one side or the other, and that's okay.
That just means we have more room to make more content. It's job security.
Yeah.
It really what it comes down to. Like, the more crazy shit that happens, the more conversations we can have, the better off everybody is.
Yeah.
Better off we are because we get to make more content and sustain ourselves, but also we're opening up the conversation, we're opening up the playing field to different ideas and different ways of looking at things, and that's important.
Yeah, it's a delicate tightrope. It's
hard to walk. I'm not gonna lie, it is, and like we get shit we teeter on the one side, we get shit from the other side, and we teeter on the other. But we're not falling because we really do believe what we're saying.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much for inviting me into your home. And
You're very
for the
welcome.
sushi was good. And that popcorn looks pretty good too.
Fucking devour it. I love popcorn.
But obviously we're gonna
We're gonna hang.
We're gonna hang
Of
and
course.
talk and all types of stuff. So thank you again for being part of this, and everybody should check out your content and all the good work you're doing.
Thank you.